What does Islam say about the devil? Where did he come from? What's his purpose? Let's go back to the beginning. When God created Adam from clay, and before the final stage of breathing life into the statue, he left it for a period of time. During that period, a certain Jinni was living in heaven, among the angels, and this new creature made him feel uneasy. The Jinni's name was Iblis, and later, when he revealed his true colors, would be known as Satan, al-Shaytan, or the devil. From an authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim, we know that Iblis roamed round Adam to see what he was, and when he found him hollow from within, he recognized that he would not have control over himself. Examining the design, he correctly deduced that humans will need food and have desires, making them susceptible to sin and easier to manipulate, unlike the angels. Satan too requires sustenance, being a member of the jinn and not an angel. We know this from the Quran, as Allah said in Surah 18, Ayah 50, that's chapter and verse by the way, we say to the angels, prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated except for Iblis. He was of the jinn and departed from the command of his Lord. But what was a jinni doing in heaven among the angels anyway? The Quran and authentic ahadith do not provide an answer, leading some commentators to the realm of speculation. What we know for sure is that the jinn were created before man, and like man, they have free will to obey or disobey, and will be rewarded or punished accordingly in the afterlife. Angels do not have that dangerous luxury. They follow God's orders exactly and are incapable of sinning. There is no such thing as fallen angels in Islam. Maybe Iblis was the first Jinni, the father of all subsequent Jinn, so like Adam, his life started in heaven. But the text refers to him as of the Jinn, implying that he was one of many. Admittedly, he is the father of demons, but demons are only a subgroup of Jinn. There are many non-demonic Jinn types who are mostly indifferent to humans. Another opinion talks about an ancient war where God sent angelic soldiers down to earth to fight the corrupted jinn, exiling the remnants to remote parts of the world. And one jinni was taken up to heaven, maybe as a prisoner of war, or maybe he was saved because he showed potential, aspiring to be as good as the angels. This is pure guesswork on the commentator's part. But this ancient war hypothesis kinda fits with what we know about the angels' initial reaction to the creation of man. When God declared to them his intention, the dialogue went like this. When your Lord said to the angels, I will make upon the earth a successive authority, they said, will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and sheds blood, while we declare your praise and sanctify you? Allah said, I know that which you do not know. Now, how did they know that members of the new species would be corrupt and shed blood? Maybe they based this assumption on their previous experience with the jinn. Also, observe that God called the new creation a successor. In Arabic, a khalifa. A successor to whom? There are different opinions. A caliph, khalifa, is a political leader who succeeds his predecessor. Have humans succeeded the jinn as the new rulers? Jinn kind did not die out. Actually, they outnumber the humans. But it is safe to assume that their authority on earth diminished somewhat after the commencement of the age of man. They are, after all, invisible. Their name literally means the hidden ones. Others saw the word Khalifa as a successor to God on earth. They meant it as a deputy, maintaining earth on behalf of God. But God did not relinquish his power to Adam. To be a caliph, your predecessor either dies or gets deposed. Neither of them is applicable to God. A third opinion sees the word as referring to the procreation of man, each generation succeeding another. But there is nothing unique about that. All animals do the same. Although, unlike animals, humans build upon the knowledge of their previous generations. If the first interpretation is the correct one and the humans succeeded the Jinn as the new masters of Earth, then it is possible that indeed there was an ancient war and a Jinni was taken up to heaven after its end. The idea of a strong ancient species that lived before the age of man is so ingrained in the human psyche. Maybe that's why we like stories about ancient wars between elves and orcs, or why the Greek mythology talked about the defeat of the ancient titans. Side note: the Jinn outnumbering humans can be deduced from the simple fact that every human being is paired with a qareen, a demon that tries his best to lead the human astray. Add to that the demons not assigned to a particular individual, then the non-demonic Jinn, and you can see how crowded the invisible realm really is. Now back to the devil. Allah ordered the angels to prostrate themselves to Adam, and they obeyed instantly. Living among the angels, Iblis understood he was included in the command but refused to obey out of arrogance and pure racism. God said, "What prevented you from bowing down as I commanded you?" And he said, "I am better than him. You created me from fire and him from clay." The devil reasoned that since he was a Jinni and those were originally created from fire, while Adam was created from mud, and since fire, in his opinion, is better than mud, he should not have been asked to prostrate to Adam. He ignored the fact that it was a divine command, unquestionable regardless of its content. It's irrelevant what classical element supposedly outranks the other. Not to mention that the angels themselves obeyed even though they were created from light. Side note: when we say a being was created from clay, fire, or light, we do not mean they stayed this way. They aren't necessarily made of these elements now. Just as our flesh and blood are not the same as clay, demons are not necessarily hot, and angels are not insubstantial rays. On one occasion, a strong demon tried to distract Muhammad while praying, but he grabbed the demon, choking him until he felt his saliva on his hand. Now, a fiery being would not have saliva. This is also one of the answers to the question: if demons were created from fire, how will they be punished in hell? Now, back to the devil. Satan was cursed and cast out. By his request, he was granted a very long life, till the final day on earth, and he vowed to use this respite to lead humans astray. Knowing he is eventually condemned to eternal damnation, I guess he wants to share the misery with as many as he could, out of spite. Even the non-demonic Jinn are not safe from his deceit. His schemes against humanity started with Adam and Eve, convincing them to disobey God's command regarding the forbidden tree, swearing to them that he is an honest advisor and that eating from it will turn them into angels or immortal beings. They sinned and were cast out of paradise. But Adam repented and was forgiven, and humans are promised to go back to paradise in the afterlife if they believed the true messengers of God and behaved in the lawful way God commanded. How was Satan able to reach Adam and Eve in paradise after his expulsion from that place? Did he talk to them through a fence? Came to them in a dream? Whatever the method, no doubt he was allowed to seduce them, because the fall was predestined to happen. And man was always meant to live on earth. Even before creating Adam, God told the angels, "I am putting a successor on earth." Now let's see some of the differences between the biblical version and the Islamic one. The tree was not a tree of knowledge. That's a proto-Gnostic idea we find in Genesis, where the redactors of the Bible insinuated that God was afraid that man would gain knowledge and grow out of his control. Adam and Eve were not naked in the beginning. The exact opposite, actually. The sin removed their clothes. There is no concept of inheritable original sin in Islam. Adam's sin was forgiven at the time. No one is born in sin. And finally, the Islamic version mentions no snakes, talking or otherwise. Although elsewhere we learn that some jinn can take the shape of snakes. Now, back to the devil.
Now, back to 9/11.
The ironic thing is, Satan is unwittingly executing God's plan for man. Had God intended for humans to be infallible, or for all of them to end up in heaven, he would have made them act like angels. But life is a test, and adding the devil to the equation is part of the test. I would argue that the devil is the ultimate loser, playing a part in God's plan while not reaping any benefits. The next episode will probably be about Adam and how much of a giant was he. You may have noticed by now that English isn't my first language, and I'm aware that my voice isn't the most exciting in the world, but certain orthodox views needed to be represented, and not enough was being said in English, with some famous Muslim speakers being dishonest about what the text actually say. I abhor the mental gymnastics and text twisting that some of my fellow Muslims resort to while trying to reconcile Islamic scripture with certain modern values or scientific theories, and I disagree with some of the methods the apologists use. And honesty, as always, is the best policy.